Are you worried your family history research might be lost to future generations? Is it currently sitting on your computer or hard drive? Maybe it's in file folders that no one wants. We are Lynn and Danette. We're cousins. We're family historians. We're a writer and an artist. And we've joined forces to create Heirloom, pre-made templates that take all the work out of building your family history book. We help fulfill your family history book dreams. Join us every Tuesday for conversations and questions with Lynn and Danette, helping you build your legacy for future generations. Our pages, your story. Hello, everyone, and welcome to Conversations and Questions with Lynn and Danette. Did I catch you off guard there, Danette?
Yes, you did, but that's okay. I knew you were coming.
Okay. Well, welcome. Today,
how's it there? We get springy here.
Oh, yeah, it is here too. Actually, it's more like summer here. It's so warm.
Oh, really? We had that last week, and then it cooled down over the weekend, and now it's nice.
We've just skipped right over spring into summer. So
yeah,
I'm not complaining. So today in Conversations and Questions, we're going to talk about the documents that we can add to our family history books and some of the ways that we can handle those documents on the pages. So I'm going to share my screen and we'll take a look at some examples. All right. So our first example here is really quite simple. I think a lot of times when we're thinking about putting a document on the page, we generally tend to set it within the page and maybe have a picture and we have maybe a little bit of text. But in this case, I actually made the document the whole page because I think by doing that, people can really see the detail of the document. You have to be very careful about which document you're choosing because not all will work this way, but I think this one worked very nicely. And then what I could do is with the adjoining page, then maybe I could put in some information and pictures, that sort of thing. But here's a really, really good example of how you can just make that document the entire width and depth of the page.
Or if you wanted to, also you could fade that out a little bit and put other things
over top
on top of it.
Yeah, and I'm going to show you examples of that here in a little bit. In our second example, what I've done is this is a census record. And what we've done is highlighted our family on the record. Now, that's really easy to do. What you can do is just come over to your elements up here and grab yourself a box. And you just pull it over here, your box over here. And then you can make it any color you want. So if I made this yellow, and then I can also fade this out. So, and then you can move it around. So this is how very easy how you can highlight a piece of the information on the document. And then what you can do here is you doing the same technique, just bringing that box again, but making it white or any color you want. Then you can add text in here. So you can pull out some excerpts from the document or put the transcription here. So, and just sort of layer it a little bit over top of that particular document. Any thoughts there, Danette, about doing that? Any suggestions?
Not if you're making it whole page. I think you should label it somewhere like you did with your little text box and say, this is Grandma Ruth's.
Right. Yeah. In the text here, you'd want to put some sort of.
Yeah.
This is 1921 census. So, so you'd want to, make sure you have a label on there for sure.
Mm-hmm.
In our next example, what I've done here is I just want to show you how you can crop your documents. So in this particular case, actually, I'm going to delete this for a minute, and then we'll come back here and I'll go to my photos and I'll add the original document to it. Let's go to uploads. And so here's the document originally. So it's got that, big black line around it, which comes from when you download it off of Ancestry. And then it's got, some other information here on the side about marriage licenses. So we don't necessarily it's, retail space is very expensive in a book. So we may not necessarily want to include all of that. So if you click on your image and come up here to crop, we can then get rid of all of that. And the other nice thing that this does then, it takes all that out, but then it also allows you to make that bigger and more readable. And again, you could make that the whole page, or if you wanted to make it smaller and then add some pictures and text along the side, you could do that as well. Anything to add there, Danette, with regards to that?
No, you did that beautifully, Lynn.
Oh, thank you. And then our other one here is exactly what you were talking about, and that is taking the document and layering it. So this was actually one of your templates. And what I did is took our great-grandfather's immigration record and pulled it in here. And then I played with the transparency so you can make it lighter and darker. And then I added his picture with a little bit of frame and his name here. And actually, I probably would bold that a bit. So you can layer it underneath. There's no way your reader is going to be able to read this document. Even if it's an absolutely clear page, we aren't getting this document to a place where they could read what's on here. So this is a nice way of presenting it. And then maybe, on the opposite page, I would have maybe the transcription of what is on here. Also, a lot of this information I've worked into the story, so we don't necessarily have to repeat it in terms of a transcription either. Any suggestions there, Danette?
No. It's exactly what it was meant to be. What you just said.
I do believe, I'm not sure, the transparency is part of Pro. I just want to be sure on that. If you're a free Canva user, I'm not sure you have that ability to use the transparency and to layer like that. But if you are a Pro member, you definitely have one of those perks. Now, the other thing we're going to take a look at is, what if you don't have a document? A nice way to present some of your information is by creating something. And Danette's done a beautiful job of doing this for us in our templates. So in this case, maybe you want to explain, Danette, what you've done here.
I used a photo of the bride and groom, but you could use anything really that pertained to what's on the next page is their marriage certificate. Mm-hmm. But they didn't really have, I didn't have access to that. I only knew all the information. So what I did was design a little pretend marriage certificate and put all the information in there. It's a little more interesting way for your reader to see the information than just typed out in the middle of a paragraph.
Right. And, if I go back to this one, we don't really want a whole book of these. That's very boring. So we want, being able to change it up and do something a little more interesting and decorative in this manner works nicely so that we just don't have just a bunch of genealogy documents on pages.
And I actually took that page, blew it up, put my parents' information in there. And I had several people in my family ask me for a poster size.
Nice.
That's what I did. I made a poster size and framed it and hung it at my house. And any family member who saw that wanted it.
Yeah, very nice. That's great.
Yeah, if you have a good quality picture, yeah.
Yeah, and here's another one. This is our grandparents. So here's their wedding certificate. And again, we've just layered that with a little frame and a picture. So just
I believe that's the exact same marriage certificate you had at the very beginning of the book.
Yes,
that was plain.
Yeah.
Yes, there's another way you can use it. Yeah.
great example of just making it a little bit more
prettier.
Yeah, aesthetically pleasing on your page.
It's more girly.
Yeah. Well, we are that, aren't we?
Yeah.
And so here's another example of what you've done for a baptismal record. So in this case, again, you've created sort of this little record where you can just go in and fill in the information. If you have a picture of the baptism, otherwise you just, used a very generic picture. And then you could also just write a little story or caption in here.
Mm-hmm.
And then we've got one more here, and the same thing, you created a birth certificate. Now you could also use this page just to drop in your picture. So let's just say let me take this one. So you can see how I just took one of my documents and put it in there. And that alone helps that document to be a little more appealing to the eye.
Mm-hmm.
But in your case, what you've done is actually created a birth certificate. So you can come in here and you can put your ancestors' names and information in here. And that just makes it a little bit more appealing. So that's how you can add documents to your pages. You have a variety of options available to you. And it's just nice to use a variety of options, to change it up, not just throw them on the page and be done with it.
And dry facts.
Yeah, make it interesting, visually interesting for your reader, and they'll be much more engaged with your book that way. So that is documents. So if you got any questions, make sure you drop them in the comments below. We're happy to answer them, or create another little video for you to answer those questions. But otherwise, that is it for this week. Please please subscribe. So that you get notification of the next video that comes out. Otherwise, we'll see you back here next week.
See you next week.
Questions with Lynn and Danette.